Hello and welcome everybody. I'm Jennifer. This is A Country Life. Welcome to today's collaboration video hosted by Keri from My Table of Three. She does all kinds of cooking videos on her channel, and she was gracious enough to host this whole month of videos, this whole collab. So from November 1st to November 21st, there's going to be a different sweet or savory pie every single one of those days, and you're gonna want to go and watch those. I am so thankful to Keri for hosting this collab. I guess what it is, it's the work that it takes to set one up. I always think, oh, this is so fun. Sometime I should think about that. And you know what? I just don't. So I'm always so happy when other people take the bull by the horns and just get it done. And she invited me. Here I am. Today I am going to be making a Cran-Apple crunch pie. This is one of my favorites. I love cranberries. We grow cranberries. I love apples. And so this is just something that I always make for Thanksgiving. One of the really neat things about this 2022 Thanksgiving pie collaboration is that you are going to have a chance to win some really neat kitchen / baking type prizes at the end of the month. So Keri on her channel, My Table of Three, she's going to be having a live giveaway. I know she tells me what time. Yes, 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time on November 28th. Let me just double check that. Yes, November 28th. There's going to be several prizes, and all you need to do to be entered into that is to watch every single one of the videos this month and then leave a comment on each one of those videos. She will take care of the rest from there. I hope that you guys tune in for all the videos. Let's get started with today's pie. I always like to give you guys a peek at the recipe that I'm going to be making first. This is Cran-Apple crunch pie. This is on page 59 in my second cookbook for those of you that have that and want to follow along. I've been making this pie for, like 25 years. I found this, I don't even know, in some cookbook a really long time ago, and I feel like I've changed it up a little bit. I've decreased the sugar over the years just because we tend to like things a little bit more tart, at least Warren and I do when it comes to pies. I do have to open up my first cookbook, which has the pie crust recipe I'm going to be using, and let me just give you a look at the ingredients there. You can always screenshot this or copy them down, hit pause, whatever you need to do. So the first thing that we're going to do is get 5 tablespoons, which 1/3 cup is the same amount. That is just water. I'll add 1 tablespoon of vinegar, just standard white vinegar, and 1 egg. All right, we're moving over to my KitchenAid mixer now, and into the bowl, I'm going to use 3 cups of unbleached all-purpose flour, a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of baking powder. I'm going to give that a little stir. Now I'm going to use 1 cup plus 2 tablespoons of lard. And I have done this where when I didn't have quite the amount of lard that I needed, I have used a little bit of butter in its place, and that was delicious. I've just personally found that sometimes all butter just doesn't work quite right for me. And so there's a tablespoon, and there's another tablespoon. And what I'm going to do now is just kind of pulse this a little bit. Whoop, see, there it goes. The flour already popped over. So I'm just going to kind of pulse it a little. And I do like to kind of push the lard off of the paddle here. There we go. I'll lift it again, push the lard off, and I'm just going to work this and pulse this until it is just the way I like it. Obviously, if you don't want to do it in a KitchenAid, that's fine. You can just use a pastry blender, a couple of forks, a knife and a fork, really whatever it is that you like to do. Okay, once all of the lard is kind of broken up into smaller pieces, I just let it go on low until it's like little crumbs. Not little, big crumbs. So just until it looks like that. You can see there's some bigger pieces and it's kind of crumbly, just like that. And now with my blender on low, I'm just going to drizzle in the water, vinegar, egg mixture. And just mix it until it seems like it's starting to come together. And that's looking really good, right there. Yep, that looks really good. It's not a complete ball, but I'm just going to scoop up all of the pieces and make it into a ball with my hands now. I have Maria in here with me. She just sorted through some cranberries from this year's harvest, and she brought in 2 cups of cranberries for me, and now she's going to work on the apples. So I need only about 3 cups or so, so maybe 5 apples.
Okay.
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 I like to sprinkle a bit of flour on my cooking surface or my rolling surface.
Where do you want me to cut them?
In the sink, because you got to wash them. Whoops. Whoopsie, at least we're going to use it right away. If it gets a bruise, it's not going to rot.
Soft.
That's okay. Just wash them up.
Can I take this?
So I'm going to divide this dough in half because this is plenty of pie crust to make 2 double crust pies. Thank you for doing the laundry, Joe. The pie crust freezes really well. So I will freeze that. I'll show you what I do with that a little later. And I feel like I didn't quite get this in half, but I really only need 1 crust because this pie is a single crust pie, and then I will be making a crunch topping for it. So this is the point where I'm going to give you a few tips about making pie crust. Everybody has their own tips, and that's really the cool thing about this collab is I'm really looking forward to watching and seeing how other people make their pies.
Mom.
Yes.
That's it.
That's it. You got all the laundry collected?
Yes, that's it.
Thank you. All right, so one of the things that I find is most important to get a good shape to your pie crust is to work at keeping it in a circle. So, and roll rather than press. I don't want a cookie right now, honey. I'm baking. Yes, Maria. I think I took it out already. It's over by the lard.
Magic?
You don't want to rush with your pie crust with rolling it out. If it starts to split, just push it back together. Flip it often. That's what I do anyway, and it works. And just work at keeping it in the best circle that you can. Right, Joe?
Yeah.
And when it starts to kind of split a little, I like to stop.
Where's Peter?
Hunting.
Hunting?
Hunting. Just roll it out to whatever. I like my crust to be pretty thin, and I see I started with a little more dough. I could have been more precise when I divided the dough in half. Sometimes I'll be really finicky about it and actually get out my kitchen scale.
Mom.
But, I mean, honestly, it's really not necessary. That is a chicken bucket. Yes, it is.
Is there a bowl I can put these in?
So I like to fold my crust into quarters. And then, yeah, I have plenty. Whoa, it ripped. That wasn't supposed to happen, was it? But that's okay. That just means it's a very tender dough, which means it's going to be flaky and delicious. If it does tear a little bit, just make sure that you overlap it. Press it in gently. And I'm not going to take the edges off of my pie yet because once I put the filling in, then I will take the edges off. So we're just going to set this aside, get our... Are you okay over there?
No.
We're just going to set this aside. What I'm going to do now with the rest of this, I'm going to divide this into... Whoops. That is not... I think what I'm going to have to do... Let me see if this seems to weigh about the same amount. What do you guys think? Does this look about the same amount?
Don't know. Over here.
I don't know either, Mom.
You don't know either? I just want 3 even pieces if I can. And then I'm going to flatten them down like that, wrap them in saran wrap, put them into a freezer bag, and pop them in the freezer with today's date so I know when I put them in there, and then I will have 3 crusts ready to go for Thanksgiving. So at this point, Maria actually used the corer and like the apple corer wedger, and sometimes that doesn't get the center out perfectly. So I'm just doing the peel, getting out the center. Maria's helping me out by slicing some of them in half or in thirds, depending.
Oh, this one, this butter.
I don't know.
The spider pumpkin.
So you want to be a spider pumpkin?
Yes.
I don't know how we're gonna do that.
All right, so we need about 3 cups of apples. So I am just pulling some apples over here to get them measured out. There's one that needs to be, I'll put the ones that haven't been sliced over there, okay? And I think we have plenty of apples here, Maria. So many that if you guys want to eat those last few, let's see. At this point now, I am just going to put in my sugars, flour, and cinnamon. So a scant 1/3 cup of sugar, 1/3 cup of brown sugar, 1/4 cup of flour, and a good 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. I'm just gonna mix that together right in this bowl. If I wanted to be really particular, I could put the dry ingredients in one bowl, stir them up real so they're real even, and then I could toss in the fruit. But I really don't want to have to dirty any more dishes than necessary. So this works just fine. Once you pour it into your pie shell, you can always kind of arrange it a little bit if necessary. Maria was just grinding some walnuts for the topping. All right, I'm just gonna sort of pack everything in here. Let's make sure we get some cranberries. It's a very full pie, but we need to get some cranberries on this side, don't we? Kind of spread those cranberries out so they're...
Gotta be everywhere.
So you get a good even bite. I'm gonna push this down in here because I really want it packed in tight. I'm gonna do another 1/3 cup of brown sugar. It's not packed in there though. I know the recipe says packed, and I guess everyone has a little different flavoring that they like. Some people like a real sweet pie, or they're not real fond of the tartness of cranberries, and others are. So kind of think about it like that when you're making a pie. Another 1/4 cup of flour, a 1/4 cup of oatmeal. I'm just gonna get that kind of stirred up a little bit, and then I'm going to cut in some soft butter, 1/4 cup. Can I do this without my pastry blender? That is going to be the question. So I don't have to dirty that too. I think it's kind of working, isn't it? It's the topping. It's working pretty good, actually. I know I do get comments from a lot of viewers asking why I use a certain utensil a certain way. And honestly, we hand wash our dishes, and I'm sort of just a opportunistic baker. And whatever utensil is the closest to me is usually what I'm going to use, unless I really can't make it work with that. Okay, and that looks really, really good. And here are the nuts that Maria ground up for me. About a 1/4 cup of walnuts. If you like pecans better with cranberries and apple, you could of course use pecans or no nuts at all. If you don't like a crunch topping, you could put a second crust over top of this pie, cut some slits in it, and it would be just as delicious. I probably would not do scant 1/4 and 1/3 cups of the sugar though if you want to put a top crust. Go with the full amount of sugar, you know, good measures of sugar, and then a top crust, and that would be delicious too. Okay, there's what the topping is looking like. Let's get this pie moved over here. And this is a full pie. But I mean, if you're gonna have a piece of pie, you wanna know you had a piece of pie. You don't want a piece of pie and just all crust, right? Now we're just gonna spread this out. We need a little bit more over on this side, don't we? All right, now I'm going to build up my crust a little bit here. Sometimes I will cut off the edges, especially if I'm making a pumpkin pie and I don't want too much crust above the custard portion of the pie. But with this can handle some extra, although this looks like a little too much right there. This can handle some extra crust just to be sure that everything gets held in. I also am going to take just a moment here to step over to my oven and get that preheated to 375. Now you can leave your pie like that. You've kind of folded over the crust a little bit, but you know what? If you really want to take your pie up a notch, I always think it's important to really finish off that crust as best you can. So what I like to start by doing is just kind of go all the way around and push it so it's perfectly smooth, as round as I can get it. If there's any little dry spots, pinch them together. I mean, this pie is going to taste delicious, but you know what? Even a pie that a person is not totally thrilled about, if it looks beautiful, it's going to taste beautiful. Now that I have it nice, I've got kind of like all the edges in there nice and tight, I'm going to put an edge on this. And today for you, I'm going to do the simplest edge I know. This is the edge that I saw my grandma do all the time. It's just the fork edge. So you can go straight in or you can angle it a little bit. I'm actually going to angle it, but I like to hold the crust here. And just really press down so you get those pretty little tines. And you can really use a different utensil if you'd rather. I thought I was doing it on an angle, but I'm kind of getting it straight. That's okay. And your crust is going to sort of deform again a little bit, but we're just going to come back through at the end and reshape it again. This is the part of the pie that takes a little bit of time, but after you've put the effort into making a homemade pie, take the extra 3 minutes to really finish off the crust to be beautiful. I've kind of pushed the crust out just a little bit, so I'm going to go back around and just smooth it because I don't want it to have a little ruffly look. Now if you want it to have the ruffly look, don't smooth it out. That is perfectly fine. All right, and that is it. I'm going to put this into the oven at 375 degrees for 25 minutes. I'm going to make a little foil, cut it out, and I'm just going to drape it over the pie just to prevent too much browning of the crust. I'm going to put it in for 25 minutes. At the end of the 25 minutes, then I'm going to remove that foil and bake it for about another 30 minutes or so. Shoot, I think it just wasn't filming. So I just folded a piece of aluminum foil into quarters and then I cut the center out. And then unfolding it, that's what I'm going to do when it's in the oven. I'm just going to place this over top of it so that it kind of prevents that crust from over browning. I'm also going to take my little pie crust scraps here. So with the few pieces of pie crust little scraps I have, what I'm going to do is just put a good sprinkling. You know what I should have done? Put down foil first so that that doesn't cook to the pan. All right, well, I didn't. So just put some cinnamon sugar on there. I'm going to bake this. It's going to take about 10 minutes or so, and then Maria will probably just gobble these right up. Pie crust cookies were in for 10 minutes. We let them cool a little bit.
So good.
They're a favorite, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Cinnamon and sugar and all the good things.
Right.
So I hope that you enjoyed today's pie collab video, and I hope that this just inspires you to get into the kitchen and start making some plans for your Thanksgiving Day. Is it going to be a sweet pie? Is it going to be a savory pie? What is it that you're going to make that your family is going to absolutely love? Check out in the description box below. There will be a whole list of all of the channels that are involved in this month's collab. Go check out all the videos, leave a comment, and remember to come back on November 28th to my table of 3 for the giveaway. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you found this enjoyable, I'd love to have you as a new subscriber if you were new here. If not, if you've already been at my channel before, thanks for tuning in again. I hope you guys have a great November.
Ooh, that looks like a yummy pie.